The last escape pod. The year was 2847. The place was a space station called Horizon 7. It was floating in the cold darkness of deep space, far away from Earth, far away from everything. Marcus Cole was a 28-year-old human engineer. He had worked on this station for 3 years. He knew every corner, every hallway, every machine. This station was like his home, but tonight, his home was dying. The first explosion came at exactly 11:47 p.m. Marcus was sleeping in his small room when the whole station shook like an earthquake. He fell from his bed and hit the cold metal floor. Red lights started flashing everywhere. A loud alarm screamed through the speakers. "Warning! Critical damage to reactor core. All personnel evacuate immediately. You have 5 minutes." Marcus did not waste a single second. He grabbed his boots and ran out of his room. The hallway was filled with smoke and fire. Other workers were running and screaming. Some were crying, some were praying. Marcus pushed through the crowd. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. He had to reach the escape pod bay. That was the only way out, the only way to survive. As he ran, he saw terrible things. He saw walls breaking apart. He saw people trapped under fallen metal. He wanted to help them. He really did. But the station was falling apart too fast. If he stopped, he would die too. "I am sorry," he whispered as he ran past them. "I am so sorry." The escape pod bay was on the other side of the station. Marcus ran faster than he had ever run in his life. His lungs were burning. His legs were screaming in pain. But he did not stop. He could not stop. 3 minutes left. Did he reach the escape pod bay, and his heart sank into his stomach. The bay had 12 escape pods, 12 chances to live. But when Marcus looked around, he saw something that made him want to fall to his knees. 11 pods were already gone, launched, empty spaces where hope used to be. Only one pod remained. Marcus ran toward it like a man running toward water in a desert. This was it, his only chance. He pressed the button and the pod door opened with a soft hiss. The seat inside was small, but it looked like heaven to him. He put one foot inside the pod, and then he heard it. A small voice, a cry, coming from behind him. Marcus turned around slowly. What he saw broke his heart into 1,000 pieces. A little alien girl was standing near the entrance of the bay. She looked about 10 years old. Her skin was pale blue, like a winter sky. Her hair was silver like moonlight, and her eyes were golden, like 2 small suns filled with tears. She was limping. Her left leg was bleeding. A piece of metal had cut deep into her flesh. She was holding the wall just to stand up. "Please," she said in broken human language. "Please, help me. My family. They are gone. Everyone is gone." 2 minutes left. Marcus looked at the pod. 1 seat. Only 1 seat. He looked at the little girl. So small, so scared, so alone. His mind was screaming at him. "Get in the pod! Save yourself! You do not know this girl! You do not owe her anything!" But his heart was saying something different. He remembered his mother. He remembered what she told him before he left Earth. "Marcus, my son, a real man is not measured by what he takes. He is measured by what he gives. Especially when giving hurts." Marcus closed his eyes. He took a deep breath, and he made his choice. He walked toward the little girl. She looked up at him with those big golden eyes full of fear. She probably thought he was going to push her away, take the pod for himself, leave her to die. But Marcus did not do that. Instead, he knelt down and picked her up gently in his arms. She was so light, so fragile, like a bird with broken wings. He carried her to the pod and placed her softly in the seat. Her golden eyes went wide with confusion. What are you doing?" she asked. Marcus smiled at her. It was a sad smile, a goodbye smile. "I am giving you my seat," he said simply. But what about you?" Marcus started pressing buttons on the pod, setting the coordinates, preparing for launch. "Do not worry about me," he said. "I will find another way." It was a lie. They both knew it was a lie. There was no other way. The station had less than 1 minute left. The little girl grabbed his hand. her small blue fingers wrapped around his rough, human hand. No, please, come with me. We can both fit. We can. We cannot, Marcus said softly. The pod can only carry one person. If we both go, the pod will be too heavy. It will not escape the explosion. We will both die. Tears were falling down her blue cheeks now. Rivers of silver tears. Why? She asked. Why are you doing this? You do not even know me. Marcus looked into her eyes, those beautiful golden eyes that reminded him of sunrise on earth. Because you are a child, he said. Because you have your whole life ahead of you. Because... He paused and touched her cheek gently. Because this is what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. 30 seconds left. Marcus pressed the launch button. The pod door started closing. Wait, the girl screamed. Please, tell me your name. At least tell me your name. The door was almost closed now. Just a small gap remained. Marcus shouted through the gap. Marcus, my name is Marcus Cole. I will never forget you, Marcus Cole, the girl screamed. I will never forget you. The door sealed shut. The pod launched into space with a powerful blast. Marcus watched through the window as the small pod flew away, carrying the little alien girl to safety, carrying her to life. He smiled. The station shook violently. The floor cracked beneath his feet. Fire was everywhere now. The walls were melting. The ceiling was falling. Marcus did not run. There was nowhere to run. He just stood there, watching the stars through the broken window, watching the little pod become smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny dot of light. At least she will live, he whispered. At least I did one good thing. The reactor exploded, and Marcus Cole disappeared in a ball of fire and light. The galaxy recorded his name the next day. Marcus Cole, human, engineer, age 28, status deceased, one of 847 victims of the Horizon 7 disaster. His file was closed. His name was forgotten. Just another dead human in a universe full of dead humans. But the galaxy did not know the truth. The galaxy did not know that the little alien girl Marcus saved was not just any child. She was Princess Lyra of the Valari Empire, the lost daughter of Emperor Kalen, the heir to 40 star systems, and she remembered every single day for 8 years. She remembered the human who smiled at her while giving away his only chance to live. She remembered his name, Marcus Cole, and one day she would come back for him. The princess remembers. 8 years is a long time. 8 years is enough for a child to become a woman, enough for tears to become fire, enough for a princess to become an empress. But 8 years is not enough to forget. Some memories are burned so deep into the soul that even time cannot erase them. Lyra never forgot. The planet Valaris Prime was the heart of the Valari Empire, a world of golden towers and floating cities, a world where the sky was always purple and 3 moons glowed every night. It was beautiful, it was powerful. It was home to the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. And tonight, this world was celebrating. All hail Empress Lyra! Long may she reign! Thousands of voices echoed through the great hall of the Imperial Palace. Thousands of aliens in beautiful clothes bowed their heads. Thousands of eyes looked upon the golden throne. And on that throne sat Lyra. She was no longer a scared little girl with a bleeding leg. She was 18 years old now, tall, powerful, beautiful in a way that made stars jealous. Her silver hair flowed down her back like a river of moonlight. Her blue skin glowed softly in the candlelight. And her eyes, her golden eyes were cold, hard, like 2 pieces of frozen sunlight. 3 months ago, her father, the Emperor, had died. A sickness took him slowly, painfully, over many months. Lyra had held his hand until his last breath. She had promised him she would be strong. She had promised him she would protect their people. Now the crown was hers. The throne was hers. 40 star systems were hers. But none of it meant anything to her, because every night, when the palace was quiet and the servants were asleep, Lyra would go to her private chamber. She would open a small silver box that she kept hidden under her bed, and she would look at what was inside. A piece of burned metal, a fragment from an escape pod. The only thing she had left from that terrible night 8 years ago. She would hold it against her heart and whisper the same name, the same human name that she had whispered every night for 8 years. Marcus Cole. Tonight was no different. The celebration ended late. The guests left with full stomachs and empty words. Lyra smiled and nodded and played her role perfectly, but inside she felt nothing. She was the most powerful woman in the galaxy, but she felt empty. She walked to her private chamber and closed the door. She removed her crown and placed it on the table. She did not even look at it. Gold meant nothing to her. Power meant nothing to her. She reached under her bed and pulled out the silver box. But before she could open it, there was a knock on her door. "Enter," Lyra said, quickly hiding the box. The door opened. A tall alien with dark green skin walked in. This was Commander Vex, the head of Lyra's secret intelligence network. He was old, wise, loyal. He had served her father for 30 years, but tonight his face was strange. He looked nervous. Vex was never nervous. "Your Majesty," he said with a bow, "forgive me for disturbing you at this hour." "What is it, Vex?" Vex hesitated. In 30 years of service, he had never hesitated. "We found something," he said slowly. "Something about the Horizon 7 incident." Lyra's heart stopped. The whole world stopped. For 8 years, she had ordered her spies to investigate that night. For 8 years, they had found nothing. The case was closed. Everyone was dead. End of story. Until now. "Show me," Lyra whispered. Vex pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A holographic screen appeared in the air. On the screen was a document, an old document with faded letters and classified stamps. "This file was hidden in the Crixan Empire's secret archives," Vex explained. "We only found it because one of their officers betrayed them for money." Lyra read the document. Each word hit her like a bullet. Classified Crixan slave acquisition, report date, 8 years ago. Location, debris field of Horizon 7 station. Item acquired, 1 human male, approximately 28 years old. Condition, severe injuries but alive. Status, sold to Crixan Mining Corporation, assigned to Deep Mines of Crixos 9, Level 7. Note, subject showed unusual resistance during capture. Recommended for hard labor until death. Lyra could not breathe. Her hands were shaking so badly that she almost dropped the device. He survived," she whispered. "Marcus survived," Vex nodded slowly. "It appears so, Your Majesty. The explosion threw him into space, but his body was found floating in the debris. The Crixan slavers picked him up and sold him." 8 years! Lyra's voice was breaking. "He has been a slave for 8 years. In the Crixan mines?" Vex's face became darker. "Your Majesty, I must be honest with you. The Crixan mines they are hell. No prisoner survives more than 2 or 3 years there. The work is brutal. The guards are cruel. If this human is still alive after 8 years," he paused, "then he is either already dead or he has become something different." Lyra stood up slowly. Her whole body was trembling, but not with fear, not with sadness, with rage, pure, burning, unstoppable rage. "Prepare my war fleet," she said. Her voice was calm, too calm, like the silence before a storm. Vex's eyes went wide. "Your Majesty, you heard me. Every warship we have, every soldier, every weapon. I want them ready in 6 hours. But, Your Majesty, the Crixan Empire is powerful. They have allies. If we attack them, it could start a galactic war. Millions could die. Your father spent his whole life avoiding—" "My father is dead!" Lyra's scream echoed through the chamber. Her golden eyes were glowing now. Actually glowing, like 2 small stars burning with fury. This was the ancient power of the Valari bloodline, a power that appeared only in moments of extreme emotion. Vex took a step back. In 30 years, he had never seen anything like this. Lyra walked toward him slowly. Each step made the floor shake slightly. "That human," she said, her voice like ice and fire mixed together, "gave me his only escape pod. He smiled at me while choosing to die. He was kind to me when he had nothing to gain. And while I sat in my palace eating fine food and wearing fine clothes, he was rotting in a slave mine, being tortured, being broken, because of me. She grabbed Vex by his collar and pulled him close. I do not care about war. I do not care about politics. I do not care if the whole galaxy burns. I am going to find Marcus Cole. I am going to free him, and anyone who stands in my way, her eyes glowed brighter. I will personally turn them into ashes. Do you understand me, Commander? Vex had served emperors and generals. He had seen battles and death. But in this moment, looking into those burning golden eyes, he felt true fear for the first time in his life. Yes, Your Majesty, he whispered. I understand perfectly. Lyra released him and walked to her window. Outside, the 3 moons of Valaris Prime glowed in the purple sky. Somewhere out there, across thousands of light years, Marcus Cole was suffering, waiting, maybe hoping, or maybe he had already given up hope. Hold on, Marcus, Lyra whispered to the stars. The little girl you saved is coming, and heaven help anyone who tries to stop me. 6 hours later, 200 Valari warships rose into the sky. It was the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled, a fleet built for one purpose. Not conquest, not glory, not power, just one human, one kind, brave, forgotten human who had given everything for a stranger. The galaxy watched in shock as the Valari Empress led her fleet personally into Crixan space. News spread across every planet, every station, every ship. The Empress has gone mad, they said. She will start a war for nothing, they said. She will destroy her own empire, they said. But they did not understand. They did not know about a dying space station 8 years ago. They did not know about a little girl crying in fear. They did not know about a human who smiled while giving away his life. They did not know that some debts cannot be measured in gold or power. Some debts can only be paid in blood. The ghost of Crixan. There is a place in the galaxy where hope goes to die, a place where the sun never shines, where screams echo through tunnels that stretch deeper than nightmares, where living beings are turned into machines of flesh and bone, working until their bodies break and their souls disappear. This place is called Crixos 9, the death mines of the Crixan Empire, and somewhere in the deepest, darkest level of these mines, there was a man that even the demons feared. They called him the Ghost. Level 7 was the bottom of hell. The tunnels here were so deep that the rock itself was hot. The air was thick with poison. The darkness was so complete that prisoners went blind after a few months. Normal slaves lasted maybe 6 weeks on level 7. The strong ones lasted 3 months. The very strongest lasted 1 year. Marcus Cole had been here for 8 years. The guards did not understand it. The doctors did not understand it. Even the other prisoners did not understand it. How could one human survive so long in a place designed to kill? But they did not know Marcus Cole. They did not know what burned inside him. The cell was small, 2 meters by 2 meters, no bed, no light, no window, just cold stone walls covered in scratch marks. Marcus sat in the corner, his back against the wall. His eyes were closed, but he was not sleeping. He never really slept anymore. Sleep meant dreams. Dreams meant memories. Memories meant pain. His body had changed over 8 years. He was thin but hard, like a blade made of bone and muscle. Scars covered every part of him. His hands were rough like stone from years of digging. His hair was long and gray, even though he was only 36 years old. But his eyes were the most changed. They used to be warm brown, full of kindness. Now they were cold, empty, like 2 holes leading into darkness. The other prisoners whispered about him. He has tried to escape 17 times, they said. 17 times. Each time they caught him. Each time they tortured him for days. But he never screamed, not once. He just stared at them with those dead eyes. I heard he killed a guard with his bare hands last year, broke his neck like a stick. They beat him for 3 weeks straight, but he did not die. He is not human anymore. He is something else, something that should not exist. They were right, and they were wrong. Marcus Cole was still human, but the human he used to be, the kind engineer who smiled at strangers, the gentle man who gave away his only chance to live, that man was buried deep inside, locked away in a box that Marcus never opened. Because if he opened that box, if he remembered who he used to be, the pain would destroy him. So he became someone else, something else. He became the ghost. But Marcus had a secret. Every night, when the guards were not watching, he would trace his finger on the wall. He was not making random marks. He was drawing a map. 8 years of failed escapes had taught him everything. He knew every tunnel, every guard rotation, every weakness in the security system. Every secret passage that the Crixons thought no one knew about. 17 failed escapes, but each failure gave him information. Each torture session gave him time to think. Each year gave him more patience. Marcus was not trying to escape anymore. He was planning something bigger. Not yet, he whispered to himself in the darkness. The right moment will come, and when it comes, I will burn this place to the ground. Sometimes late at night, a memory would slip through the cracks in his mental walls. A memory of golden eyes filled with tears, a small blue hand grabbing his fingers, a child's voice screaming his name as the pod door closed. I wonder if she survived, Marcus would think. I wonder if she remembers me. Then he would push the memory away, lock it back in the box. The past was dead. Hope was dead. All that remained was survival and revenge. Tonight felt different. Marcus could not explain why, but something in the air had changed. After 8 years in darkness, his other senses had become incredibly sharp. He could hear a guard's footstep from 50 meters away. He could smell fear on a prisoner from across the tunnel. And tonight, he sensed something. Something big was coming. He pressed his ear against the cold stone floor. At first, nothing. Then, vibrations. Very faint, coming from far above. Explosions. Marcus opened his eyes slowly. For the first time in years, something like interest flickered in his dead gaze. Who would be foolish enough to attack a Crixon mining planet, he muttered. The vibrations grew stronger. More explosions. Closer now. The whole tunnel started to shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. Other prisoners in nearby cells started screaming in confusion. Then the alarms began. Red lights flashed through the darkness. A loud siren echoed through every tunnel. Guards started running past Marcus's cell, shouting in their ugly Crixon language. We are under attack. All units to defense positions. This is not a drill. Marcus stood up slowly. His joints cracked from years of abuse, but he felt no pain. Pain was an old friend now. He walked to the bars of his cell and watched the chaos outside. Guards running everywhere, prisoners crying and praying, explosions getting closer and closer. And then he heard something that made his dead heart skip a beat. A voice on the guard's radio communicator, a voice speaking in perfect galactic common. This is Empress Lyra of the Valari Empire. I am here for one prisoner, one human named Marcus Cole. Release him to me now, and I will spare your lives. Refuse, and I will turn your entire planet into ash. You have 5 minutes to decide. Marcus froze. His whole body went cold, then hot, then cold again. Empress, Valari Empire. But the Valari princess was just a child, a little girl with golden eyes and silver hair, a little girl he had put on an escape pod 8 years ago. Could it be? No, impossible. It had to be a coincidence. Another Lyra, another Valari. It could not be her. Why would she come for him? Why would anyone come for him? But deep inside the locked box in his heart, something moved. Something that had been dead for 8 years. Hope. The ceiling exploded. Massive chunks of rock fell everywhere. Prisoners screamed as their cells were crushed. Guards fired their weapons at the sky. But it was useless. Valari soldiers dropped down from above like angels of death. Their golden armor glowed in the red alarm lights. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. They moved through the tunnels like water, fast and unstoppable. Find Marcus Cole, their commander shouted. The Empress wants him found. Search every cell, every tunnel. Move! The soldiers spread out in all directions. They broke open cell doors. They checked every prisoner's face against a holographic image. Marcus watched from his cell as 2 soldiers approached. They stopped in front of his bars. One of them held up a small device that projected an old image. An image of a young human man with kind eyes and a warm smile. The soldier looked at the image, then at Marcus, then at the image again. This cannot be right, the soldier muttered. The image shows a young man. This prisoner looks like a corpse. The second soldier scanned Marcus with another device. DNA match confirmed, he announced. This is him. This is Marcus Cole. The first soldier's eyes went wide. He immediately spoke into his communicator. Your Majesty, we found him. Level 7, cell block 9. He is alive. A moment of silence on the communicator. Then a voice, a female voice trembling with emotion. Do not move him. Do not touch him. I am coming myself. The soldier bowed even though the Empress could not see him. Yes, Your Majesty. Marcus stood completely still. His mind was racing. His heart, that dead organ that had not felt anything for years, was suddenly pounding like a war drum. She came. She actually came. The little girl he saved came back for him. 5 minutes passed, or maybe 5 hours. Marcus could not tell anymore. Then he heard footsteps, not the heavy boots of soldiers. Lighter steps, faster, running. The crowd of soldiers parted like water before a ship. And then he saw her. She was not a little girl anymore. She was a woman now, tall and powerful, wearing golden armor that glowed like a star. Her silver hair flowed behind her like a banner of moonlight. Her blue skin was flawless, beautiful, radiant. But her eyes, those golden eyes, they were exactly the same eyes that had looked up at him with fear and tears 8 years ago. Lyra stopped in front of his cell. Her whole body was shaking. Tears were already falling down her cheeks, leaving silver trails on her blue skin. Marcus, she whispered. Oh gods, Marcus. Marcus looked at her. This powerful Empress who had brought an army across the galaxy. This woman who had started a war just to find him. He should feel something. He knew he should feel something. Joy, relief, gratitude, anything. But the box inside his heart was locked too tight. The walls he had built were too high. 8 years of hell had frozen something inside him that he did not know how to thaw. You should not have come, he said. His voice was rough from years of screaming in silence, cold from years of feeling nothing. Lyra's tears fell faster. How can you say that? I searched for you for 8 years. I brought my entire fleet. I started a war for you. Then you wasted your time. Marcus turned away from her. The man you are looking for is dead. He died in these mines a long time ago. I am just what is left. No. Lyra's voice was suddenly firm, strong. She pressed her hand against the bars of his cell. No. I do not believe that. The man who saved me was the kindest soul I have ever known. He is still in there somewhere, and I am going to find him. Marcus did not respond. He just stood there with his back to her, staring at the wall covered in his secret maps. Lyra wiped her tears and turned to her soldiers. Break this cell open, she commanded. We are taking him home. The soldiers used their weapons to melt the bars. The cell door fell with a loud crash. Lyra stepped inside. She walked toward Marcus slowly, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. Marcus, she said softly, please look at me. He did not move. I know what they did to you here. I know you have suffered more than anyone should ever suffer, and I know I can never make up for the 8 years I was not here. Her voice broke. But I am here now. I am not leaving without you, even if I have to drag you out myself. Silence. Then slowly Marcus turned around. For the first time in 8 years, he looked directly into someone's eyes. Those golden eyes that had haunted his dreams. Those eyes that belonged to the only good memory he had left. Why? He asked. His voice cracked. Why did you come? I am nothing. I have nothing. I am just a broken human who should have died 8 years ago. Lyra reached out and took his scarred, rough hand in her soft blue fingers. Because you gave me everything when you had nothing, she said. Because you taught me what true kindness looks like. Because, she squeezed his hand, because I made a promise when that pod door closed. I said I would never forget you, and I never did, not for one single day. Something cracked inside Marcus. A tiny fracture in the wall around his heart. He looked down at her hand holding his. Such a small thing, such a simple touch. But it was the first gentle touch he had felt in 8 years. And suddenly, without warning, the box inside his heart broke open. Every memory, every emotion, every piece of the man he used to be came flooding back like a tidal wave. Marcus Cole fell to his knees, and for the first time in 8 years, he cried. Lyra knelt down beside him and held him as he sobbed. She did not say anything. She did not need to. She just held him while his frozen soul finally began to melt. Around them, the mines burned. The Crixan guards surrendered or died. The prisoners cried with joy as their chains were broken. But none of that mattered to Lyra. All that mattered was the broken man in her arms, the man who had saved her life, the man she had crossed the galaxy to find, the man she was going to save, no matter how long it took. The long road back. Healing is not a straight line. It is not a door that you walk through and suddenly everything is better. It is a war, a long, painful, bloody war against the demons that live inside your own mind. Marcus Cole was about to fight the hardest battle of his life, and this time he would not fight alone. The Valari Imperial ship, Dawn of Light, was the largest vessel in the Empress's fleet. It had 2,000 rooms, 500 crew members, and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But for Marcus, it felt like a prison. 3 days had passed since Lyra rescued him from the mines. 3 days since he had seen sunlight for the first time in 8 years. 3 days since he had slept in a real bed, eaten real food, worn clean clothes. He should feel grateful. He knew he should feel grateful. But every time he closed his eyes, he was back in level 7. Every shadow looked like a Crixan guard. Every loud noise made him reach for a weapon that was not there. Every moment of silence made him wait for the screams to begin. The doctors said his body would heal. The scars would fade. The broken bones had already been fixed by advanced Valari medicine. But his mind? His soul? Those were damaged in ways that no medicine could reach. Marcus stood by the window of his private room, staring at the stars. He had not slept in 3 days. Every time he tried, the nightmares came. Nightmares of darkness and pain and endless tunnels that led nowhere. There was a soft knock on his door. He did not answer. He never answered. The door opened anyway. Lyra walked in, carrying a tray of food. She had come every day, 3 times a day, bringing him meals that he barely touched. "You need to eat," she said softly, placing the tray on the table. Marcus did not turn around. "I am not hungry." "You have not eaten in 2 days, Marcus. Your body needs—" "My body has survived on rotten scraps and dirty water for 8 years. It does not need your fancy food." The words came out harsh, cold. Marcus hated himself for speaking to her like this. She had saved his life. She had started a war for him. She deserved better, but he could not help it. The darkness inside him was like a poison, turning everything bitter. Lyra did not leave. She never left, no matter how cruel he was. Instead, she walked over and stood beside him at the window. "Do you know what I did on my 15th birthday?" she asked quietly. Marcus said nothing. "I locked myself in my room and cried for 6 hours. My father thought I was sick. My servants thought I was being dramatic." She paused. "But the truth was, I was thinking about you, wondering if you were alive, wondering if you were suffering, feeling guilty that I was eating cake while you might be starving somewhere." Marcus finally turned to look at her. Her golden eyes were shining with tears that she refused to let fall. "Every birthday," she continued, "every celebration, every happy moment, I thought about the human who gave me my life, the human I could not find, the human I could not save." Her voice broke. "Do you know what that guilt feels like? To live every day knowing that someone sacrificed everything for you, and you cannot do anything to help them?" Marcus looked at her for a long moment. This powerful Empress, ruler of 40 star systems, standing in front of him with her heart completely open. "You found me," he said finally. His voice was softer now. "You came for me. No one has ever come for me before." Lyra reached out and touched his face gently. Her fingers traced one of the scars on his cheek. "I will always come for you, Marcus Cole. Always. No matter how far, no matter how long, even if the whole galaxy stands in my way." Something warm flickered in Marcus's chest, a tiny flame in the endless darkness. He did not pull away from her touch, but healing was not the only battle they faced. On the fifth day, Commander Vex requested an urgent meeting with the Empress. His face was grim when he entered the council room. "Your Majesty, we have a problem." Lyra sat on her command throne, Marcus standing silently in the shadows behind her. He had started following her everywhere, like a ghost that could not let go. "Speak," Lyra commanded. Vex activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air, images of alien faces, ships, and star maps. "The Galactic Council is furious about our attack on the Crixan Empire. They are calling it an act of war, an unprovoked invasion." "The Crixans were slavers," Lyra said coldly. "They deserved worse." "I agree, Your Majesty, but politics does not care about justice." Vex zoomed in on one particular face, an alien with red skin and black eyes. "This is High Counselor Draven. He leads the opposition against you. He is demanding that you face trial for your actions." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Trial? I am an Empress. I do not answer to—" "There is more." Vex's voice became darker. "Draven is also demanding that you hand over the human." The room went silent. Marcus stepped forward from the shadows. "Hand me over." "Why?" Vex hesitated before answering. "The Crixan Empire is claiming that you are a dangerous criminal. They say you killed 14 guards during your imprisonment. They want you returned to face execution." "That is ridiculous." Lyra stood up, her golden eyes blazing. "He was a slave. He was defending himself. I will never—" "Your Majesty," Vex raised his hand, "there is something else you need to know. Something worse." He pressed another button. A new image appeared, a document with official seals and signatures. "Draven has formed an alliance. 12 species have joined him. They are threatening to blockade Valari space if you do not comply. No trade, no travel, no communication with the rest of the galaxy." Lyra's face went pale. 12 species? That is half the council. "Yes, and they have given you a deadline. You have 30 days to surrender Marcus Cole or face total isolation." The weight of those words hung in the air like a death sentence. Lyra turned to look at Marcus. He stood there, his scarred face showing no emotion. But his eyes held something she had not seen before. Guilt. "This is my fault," he said quietly. "I should go. I should turn myself in. You cannot sacrifice your entire empire for—" "Stop!" Lyra's voice echoed through the council room. She walked toward Marcus until she was standing directly in front of him. "Do you remember what you told me on that space station, when I asked why you were saving me?" Marcus was silent. "You said, because this is what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." Lyra grabbed his hands and held them tight. "Well, now I am telling you, this is what I do. I protect the people I love, no matter the cost." Marcus's breath caught in his throat. "The people you love?" Lyra realized what she had said. Her blue cheeks turned slightly purple with embarrassment, but she did not take it back. She did not look away. "Yes," she whispered. "Love. I have loved you since I was 10 years old, Marcus Cole. I have loved the memory of you for 8 years. And now that I have found you, I am not letting anyone take you away from me. Not the Council, not Draven, not the entire galaxy." That night, Marcus could not sleep again, but this time it was not because of nightmares. It was because of her words. Love. She loved him. How? How could anyone love what he had become? He was broken, damaged, a shell of the man he used to be. He walked to the observation deck, hoping the stars would calm his racing thoughts. But when he arrived, he found he was not alone. Lyra was there sitting on the floor, hugging her knees to her chest. She looked small, vulnerable, nothing like the powerful Empress who commanded armies. "Could not sleep either?" Marcus asked. Lyra looked up and smiled sadly. "Too many thoughts, too many worries." Marcus sat down beside her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They just watched the stars together. "I am scared," Lyra admitted finally. I acted so brave in the council room, but the truth is, I am terrified. Draven is powerful. If he turns the galaxy against us, my people will suffer. And it will be my fault. Marcus looked at her. This woman who had given up everything for him. This woman who was now facing the consequences of her kindness. Something shifted inside him. The walls around his heart cracked a little more. I spent 8 years in those mines, he said slowly. Every single day I thought about giving up, just closing my eyes and letting go. It would have been so easy. Lyra looked at him with tears in her eyes. But I did not give up. Do you know why? He turned to face her. Because somewhere in my broken mind, I remembered a little girl with golden eyes. A little girl who screamed my name as the pod door closed. A little girl who promised to never forget me. He reached out and wiped a tear from her cheek. You kept me alive, Lyra. The memory of you kept me alive for 8 years. So no, I will not let you face this alone. I will not run. I will not hide. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Lyra broke down crying, but this time, they were not tears of sadness. She threw her arms around Marcus and held him tight, and for the first time in 8 years, Marcus hugged someone back. They stayed like that for a long time, two broken souls holding each other together. But in the shadows of the galaxy, High Counselor Draven was watching. He sat in his dark chamber, surrounded by screens showing images of Lyra and Marcus. His black eyes gleamed with hatred. Foolish girl, he muttered. You think love will save you? You think one human is worth your entire empire? He pressed a button on his chair. A hidden door opened, and a figure walked in. A tall alien covered in scars wearing the uniform of a Crixan assassin. The Empress has made her choice, Draven said. She will not surrender the human willingly, so we will take him by force. The assassin smiled, revealing teeth filed into sharp points. And the Empress, he asked. What do you want done with her? Draven leaned back in his chair, his red face twisted into an evil smile. Kill her, kill them both, and make it painful. The galaxy's choice. Some choices define a single moment. Other choices define an entire life. And some choices define the fate of a whole galaxy. Tonight, Empress Lyra would make such a choice, and the universe would never be the same again. The night was quiet on the Imperial ship. Too quiet. Marcus stood by the window of his room, staring at the stars like he did every night. But something felt wrong. His body was tense. His instincts, sharpened by 8 years of survival, were screaming at him. Danger. Danger was coming. He did not know how he knew. He just felt it. The same way he had felt the explosions before they happened in the mines. The same way he had sensed the guards before they appeared. Marcus walked to his door and opened it slowly. The hallway was empty. The lights were dim. Everything looked normal. But it was not normal. He saw it immediately. A shadow at the end of the hallway. A shadow that did not belong there. A shadow that was moving toward Lyra's chamber. Marcus did not think. He did not plan. He just moved. His bare feet made no sound on the metal floor. 8 years in the mines had taught him how to move like smoke, like wind, like a ghost. The shadow reached Lyra's door. A hand reached out, holding something that glinted in the dim light. A blade, a poisoned blade. Marcus moved faster than he had ever moved in his life. He grabbed the assassin from behind and pulled him away from the door. The assassin spun around, shocked that anyone had detected him. How? The assassin started to say. Marcus did not let him finish. The fight was brutal but short. The assassin was trained, professional, deadly. But Marcus was something else entirely. Marcus was a man who had survived 8 years of hell, a man who had nothing left to fear. In 30 seconds, it was over. The assassin lay on the ground, unconscious, his own blade pressed against his throat. The noise woke the guards. They came running from every direction, weapons drawn. Lyra burst out of her chamber, her golden eyes wide with shock. Marcus, what happened? Are you hurt? Marcus stood over the fallen assassin, breathing hard. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. Someone sent him to kill you, Marcus said. His voice was ice. Someone wants you dead. The assassin was taken to the interrogation room. Commander Vex worked on him for 3 hours. Finally, the assassin broke. It was Draven, the assassin confessed, blood dripping from his mouth. High Counselor Draven hired me. He wants the Empress dead. He wants the human dead. He wants to take control of the Valari Empire. Lyra stood behind the glass, watching the interrogation. Her face was calm, but her hands were clenched into fists. How many more? She asked coldly. How many more assassins did he send? The assassin laughed weakly. You think I am alone? Draven has dozens of killers. Hundreds. You cannot protect yourself forever. Sooner or later, one of us will succeed. Vex stepped forward and knocked the assassin unconscious with one punch. Your Majesty, he said, turning to Lyra, we need to act. If Draven is willing to use assassins, he is more dangerous than we thought. We cannot wait for his deadline. We must strike first. Lyra was silent for a long moment. Then she turned and walked out of the room. Marcus followed her. He found her in her private chamber, standing in front of a large mirror. She was looking at her reflection, but her eyes were far away. My father never wanted war, she said quietly. He spent his whole life building peace, making alliances, protecting our people through diplomacy, not violence. Marcus stood beside her. Your father sounds like a wise man. He was, but he also told me something before he died. She turned to face Marcus. He said, Lyra, peace is precious, but there are some things worth fighting for, some people worth dying for. When you find those things, those people, do not let anyone take them from you. She reached out and took Marcus's scarred hand in hers. You are worth fighting for, Marcus Cole. You are worth everything. The next day, Empress Lyra made an announcement that shocked the entire galaxy. She would appear before the Galactic Council, not in 30 days, not in a week, tomorrow, and she would bring Marcus Cole with her. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous. It was built on a space station at the center of the galaxy, a neutral ground where all species could meet. Representatives from over 100 civilizations sat in a massive circular arena, looking down at the central platform where speakers addressed the council. When Lyra entered, every eye turned to her. She walked with her head held high, wearing her golden armor that glowed like a star. Behind her walked Marcus, dressed in simple black clothes. His face was calm, but his eyes were alert, scanning the crowd for threats. And in the highest seat, watching with cold black eyes, sat High Counselor Draven. Empress Lyra of the Valari Empire, Draven announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. You stand accused of unprovoked aggression against the Crixan Empire. You stand accused of harboring a dangerous criminal. How do you plead? Lyra looked up at him without fear. I plead guilty. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Even Marcus looked at her with surprise. I attacked the Crixan Empire, Lyra continued. I destroyed their mining operation. I freed their slaves. And I would do it again. Draven smiled wickedly. So you admit your crimes. Then you accept the punishment? You will hand over the human and I am not finished. Lyra's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. The entire council fell silent. I attacked the Crixan Empire because they were slavers. They captured innocent beings and worked them to death in their mines. They tortured. They murdered. They committed crimes that would make demons sick. She pointed at Draven. And you, High Counselor, you knew about it. You profited from it. You took bribes from the Crixans to keep their slave trade hidden. The chamber exploded with shocked whispers. Draven's red face turned darker. These are lies, baseless accusations from a desperate... Are they? Lyra pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Holographic documents appeared in the air above the council. Financial records, secret communications, evidence of Draven's corruption. These files were found in the Crixan archives, Lyra announced. They show payments to High Counselor Draven, millions of credits, in exchange for his silence, in exchange for his protection. The council members were reading the documents, their faces filled with shock and disgust. He also sent an assassin to kill me last night, Lyra added calmly. The assassin has confessed. He named Draven as the one who hired him. Draven stood up, his black eyes wild with fury. This is a trick, a conspiracy. I will not— Silence! The voice came from the oldest member of the council, an ancient alien with silver skin and wise eyes, Grand Elder Morath, the most respected being in the galaxy. I have heard enough, Morath said slowly. High Counselor Draven, you will be detained for investigation. Guards, take him away. Draven screamed and fought as guards surrounded him. You cannot do this. I am the High Counselor. I have allies. You have nothing, Lyra said coldly. Your allies have seen the truth. Your power is gone. Just like the Crixin slaves you helped to torture, you will now face justice. Draven was dragged out of the chamber, still screaming threats that no one listened to. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Grand Elder Morath spoke again. Empress Lyra, you have exposed a great evil today. The council thanks you for your courage. He paused. However, we must still address the matter of the human. The Crixin Empire, what remains of it, still demands his return. Lyra stepped forward. Then let me tell you about this human. She turned and looked at Marcus. Her golden eyes were filled with love, pride, and fierce determination. 8 years ago, this man was on a dying space station. He had one chance to escape, one seat on the last escape pod. He could have taken it. He could have saved himself. No one would have blamed him. The council listened in silence. But he did not take it, because there was a little girl, a scared, injured child who had lost everything. And this human, this stranger, who owed her nothing, gave her his only chance to live. Tears were forming in Lyra's eyes, but her voice remained strong. He picked her up. He put her in the pod. He smiled at her while choosing to die. And when she asked why, do you know what he said? The chamber was completely silent. He said, because this is what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Lyra wiped her tears and looked at the council with blazing golden eyes. That little girl was me. I am alive because of Marcus Cole. The Valari Empire has an Empress because of Marcus Cole. And for 8 years, while I lived in luxury, he was tortured in a slave mine. He suffered because he was kind. He was punished because he was good. She turned back to the council, her voice rising with power. You ask me to hand him over? You ask me to let him be executed? I would rather burn my own throne. I would rather watch my empire crumble to dust. Because some things are more important than power. Some people are more valuable than politics. She reached out and took Marcus's hand. This human taught me what true sacrifice means. He taught me that kindness is not weakness. He taught me that one person, one act of courage can change everything. She raised their joined hands. I love him, and I will stand beside him against anyone who tries to harm him, even if I have to stand alone. Silence filled the chamber. Then slowly, Grand Elder Morath rose from his seat. In my 800 years of life, he said, I have seen empires rise and fall. I have seen wars that burned entire star systems. I have seen cruelty that would break your hearts. He walked down from his seat, approaching Lyra and Marcus. But I have rarely seen courage like this. A human who gave his life for a stranger. An empress who risked her throne for love. This is what the galaxy needs. Not more politics, not more power. More kindness. More sacrifice. More love. He turned to face the council. I move that all charges against the human Marcus Cole be dismissed. I move that the Crixin slave trade be permanently banned across all systems. And I move that Empress Lyra be commended for her bravery. One by one, the council members stood. First 10, then 50, then 100. Soon the entire council was standing, applauding, cheering. Lyra looked around in shock. She had expected a fight. She had expected war. She had not expected this. Marcus squeezed her hand. When she looked at him, she saw something she had not seen since the day they met. He was smiling. A real smile. A warm smile. The smile of the kind engineer who had saved a little girl on a dying space station. You did it, he whispered. Lyra laughed through her tears. We did it. Together. 1 year later. The palace of Valaris Prime had never looked more beautiful. Flowers from 100 worlds decorated every corner. Music from the finest musicians in the galaxy filled the air. Guests from every species, every planet, every corner of the universe had come to witness this day, the day the Empress married her human. Marcus stood at the altar, wearing clothes of white and gold. He still had his scars. He always would. But his eyes were different now, warm again, alive again, full of hope and love. When Lyra walked down the aisle, everyone gasped. She was wearing a dress made of starlight, literally woven from the light of distant suns. Her silver hair flowed like a river of moonlight. Her golden eyes were fixed on only one person, the man who had given her everything. They held hands as the priest spoke the ancient words. They exchanged vows that made everyone cry. And when they kissed, the whole galaxy seemed to celebrate with them. That night, they stood on the balcony of their palace, looking at the stars. "Do you remember," Marcus said softly, "what I told you on that space station? When you asked what would happen to me?" Lyra smiled. "You said you would find another way." "I did not believe it then. I thought I was going to die." He pulled her close. "But I did find another way. I found you." Lyra leaned her head against his chest. "And I found you, my kind, brave human." They stood there in silence, two souls who had found each other across impossible odds. Below them, the city celebrated. Above them, the stars shone bright. And somewhere in the vast universe, other souls heard their story. The story of a human who gave away his only chance to live. The story of an empress who crossed the galaxy for love. The story that proved one simple truth. Kindness is never wasted. Love is never lost. And sometimes the smallest act of courage can echo across the stars forever.